Greetings, everyone. I am aware that this one was a bit delayed, but I had another video that I really wanted to complete, and that was taking up my time. That aside, though, we are so back. And for this video, I wanted to go through the official translation and discuss some points that I may have missed during the review. Then, at the end of the video, we will make some predictions for the next chapter. With that being said, let us get into it. And the first thing I noticed is again centered around Loki's size. So honestly, I keep flipping back and forth on if he can change his size in his full Zoan form or not, both because of how some of the panels are translated and how scaling sometimes appears in the story. After looking at the official, I really think that I'm just getting fooled though. Loki says, "It is hard to keep him in sight when I'm so huge." Him referring to Imu, of course. And while the next panel, it does look like he might have gotten smaller when we compare him with Ragnir, I actually think this is just a case of perspective and the blank white background that's behind him. In any case, we shall see on that one. These first panels highlight a few other things that I just missed in the review as well. First, centered around Imu's comment about seeing Nidhogg in this world. After giving it some thought, I think what Imu is referring to is how the worlds are split up as shown in the Harley text. We can be pretty certain that the current story is in the third world, and that the events leading up to the Void Century are what is told of in the end of the second world, which is also the last time Imu saw Nidhogg. So basically, Imu is surprised, and who knows, maybe even a bit happy about seeing Nidhogg here in the third world. I say this because even though he calls Nidhogg a traitor, Imu is smiling. I can't shake that he almost seems pleased in some way. Now, Imu did mention that these events had all been set into motion in the past. So perhaps, after 800 years of twiddling his shadowy thumbs in the flower room, he is in some way happy or relieved at having been given the chance to settle things once and for all. What else did I miss, you might be asking? Well, I will tell you. It is the fact that Imu is damaged here. And not only that, unlike his blob form or the God's Knights, he is not regenerating. Even individuals who have been Domi reversied can regenerate. Now, I'm pretty sure the damage he took is not from the Thorheim that Loki fired off, but from when he smacked him right in the face, clean into the tree with Ragnir. I still find it surprising that Imu is not regenerating, though. We clearly see him huffing and puffing and coughing, so whether it is from Loki's attacks or his limitations here in the lower realm, or a combination of both, he seems either unable to regenerate, or perhaps he has yet to receive enough damage to warrant doing so. Right now, I'm leaning towards him not being able to. We can be certain, I say now, but it's been pretty cleared up by the actions of the God's Knights and the Gorosei. So we can be certain that he is not supposed to be here in this form. And this might have something to do with it. He might just be mortal in this form, or at the very least, more susceptible to death. This makes me think about a couple of things. One is, how exactly does Imu's immortality work? And is there a clear difference between his current demon form and his shadowy blob form? Now, in my video about his devil's fruit, which I'll link somewhere above and maybe in the description as well, I surmised that he may have truly made a deal with a devil, perhaps even the sea devil. And as part of that pact, he must remain as far away from the sea as possible. I also surmised that devil fruits were created by humanity in response to this original devil's fruit that Imu has. hence the carried over weakness to water. For Imu, though, as the progenitor, this weakness may even be greater in that by simply being closer to water, he is placed in this weakened state. And maybe he loses access to his regeneration if it's something that he might have, say, up in Marijois. Or another option is, what if nobody's true body can regenerate? What I mean is, when Imu's real body is in Marijois and his blob form is sent out, it is that form that can regenerate, because his actual body is not the thing taking hits. This may also mean that when the God's Knights enter into a pact with Imu, or when a Domi reversing individual is flipped, their true bodies may end up existing in the abyss, and that the forms of them we see in the world are shadowy versions of themselves, if you will. This could also explain why Conqueror's Haki is so effective. Perhaps it can bridge that gap and strike their real bodies that are in the abyss. And I actually want to talk a little bit about Biblo too. This guy, what in the world is going on with this owl? What secrets are you hiding from us, Biblo? Behind those glasses of yours. Like Imu, Zunisha, and even Mihawk, Biblo has the ringed pattern in his eyes. A big theory going around, I've made a video about this as well, is that Mihawk is of the Nerona family. So if he, as a modern individual, shares lineage from a family originating from before the Void Century, it could imply that these ring-patterned eyes are from that era. That's maybe a more common trait of that time. Which really makes me think that Biblo, like Zunisha or Imu, is hundreds, if not thousands of years old. Now, there is a strong animal theme being built up around Joy Boy, so it feels likely that Biblo was part of his crew or an ally in the past. Now, we learned from the placement of the poneglyphs being at specific locations whom were allied with Joy Boy. So when these poneglyphs were spread, maybe by Lily, that could be the big betrayal that Lily took up against Imu, she sent them specifically to what you would consider allied nations, right? These allied nations in the past were selected to give the poneglyph safekeeping. Some examples are Wano, Fishman Island, and Zoe. That's what comes to mind. This makes me think that Biblo has a very specific reason for being on Elbaf. That perhaps, the books and the library aside, there is something on this island, something else, that he has been tasked with guarding. This is not to say it is a poneglyph, but it very well could be. Now, in my review, I joked about Biblo being the man marked by flames, but that was mostly a joke. What I really think is more likely is that he is in some way associated with the man marked by flames, who Oda implied heavily that we would be meeting during this year. And so I think it is more likely that, again, he's an associate here, and that perhaps he is assisting in the guarding of that poneglyph, if it's here in Elbaf. That, or there is something very important in the Heaven Realm that only Biblo, in his infinite wisdom, knows about and knows how to reach. Now, I shall make some predictions on what we will see in the next chapter. So Oda has done a great job at giving us focus on Imu versus Loki, and so I think that fight may take a back seat during 1183 so that we can focus on the other fights that Oda has set up. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that we will get 3 major fights based off what Oda showed us. And we're going to start with Sanji versus Killingham. So in typical shonen fashion, I'm thinking that with Omen and his in general more serious no-nonsense demeanor, far from Summers, Killingham is going to be able to push Sanji back, making it somewhat of a reverse of the first encounter, only being a 1v1 this time. Now, I do not expect him to develop it entirely, but I think this is going to push Sanji towards the first steps of learning Conqueror's Haki, or mastering whatever it is that I think Scopper Gaban hinted towards him having earlier in the arc. Then, we will have Summers versus Zoro, and despite the Great One's warnings, I think Summers is still gonna dick around in this fight. Come on, this is Shepard Summers we're talking about. This is how he rolls. And that is going to cost him in this fight by causing him to get pushed back by Zoro. But in Summers' Celestial Dragon fashion, he is going to do something underhanded to gain an upper hand. We know Zoro likes cutting ships, or anything really, so I'm starting to suspect this is why he is being pitted against Summers. So he is right there to cut the ship in half, ruining the plan. Though that is maybe more of a prediction for a future chapter. I don't think that's going to happen in 1183. We know that Zoro needs to master his use of Conqueror's Haki. Earlier, both Luffy and Scopper were like, listen, bro, listen. You are just like flinging, just oozing your Haki out as if you don't even know what's going on. He even got a little bit of a scolding from Scopper, like, how are you supposed to be the wings of the Pirate King with this sloppy Haki control? So whatever underhanded tactics Summers uses, or if he really is just that guy with the Omen power-up, that is what's going to push Zoro into really starting to refine his Conqueror's Haki. Lastly, we will learn more lore about the rain god Zaza, and we're going to see the remaining Straw Hats and how they're going to have to take on this dream demon in an attempt to save the children who are being scooped up. Given his affinity for water and straight outright resistance towards drowning, I see my man, my goat, first son of the sea, Jinbei, spearheading this fight, and perhaps even being the primary force that's holding back Zaza, perhaps in conjunction with some of the giants, notably not Devil Fruit users, while some of the others are focusing on the kids. While I'm not sure if a Dream Demon is enough to push him back, if any of them are, it is Killingham's worst fear, the rain god Zaza. Perhaps Jinbei will even need to learn or master a new technique or ability. He's my favorite Straw Hat, guys. He's a Warlord of the Sea, former. He knows Haki. He's really strong. But Jinbei's also like more of a seasoned veteran fighter, and he's a little bit older. So I'm not sure if his ceiling really goes as high as Zoro and Sanji, for example. But I think it's great to see all the Straw Hats grow, and I would love to throw him in to that mix as well. And yeah, I mean, for starters, if you like my videos, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, or hearing me ramble, or maybe you just like my beard, I would invite you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It is very important for small channels, but beyond that, I would greatly appreciate it. And what are your thoughts on this chapter? Is there anything else you'd like to discuss in the coming days ahead of the next one coming out? Give me some of your predictions. I'd love to see more discussion down in the comments below. And with that, per usual, I would like each and every one of you to have an excellent rest of your day.